It's Monday, September 17. Good afternoon. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com. We begin with disturbing news that a 16-year-old student of the Manning School in Westmoreland was shot and killed at his home early this morning. The student has been identified as Sean Tomlinson of Crowder, a community in Grange Hill, Westmoreland. Reports so far are that men kicked open the door to his house, and when he ran outside, he was chased and shot several times. And we will have more information on this incident in subsequent newscasts. Starting next year, an official ban on single-use plastics and styrofoam will come into effect. The announcement was made this morning by Minister without Portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Vaz, during a press briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister. The ban will be done in phases starting on January 1, 2019.
The government will impose a ban on the import, manufacture, distribution and use of all single-use plastic carrier bags with the dimensions at and below 24 inches by 24 inches, which includes those bags commonly referred to locally as scandal bags and T-shirt bags used primarily in the retail and wholesale sectors.
In March 2017, Cabinet set up a multi-stakeholder working group chaired by Dr. Paris Leo Aid Jr. to investigate the use and disposal of plastic packaging materials in Jamaica and the impact on the environment. This was in response to a motion tabled by Senator Matthew Samuda. That motion called for a ban on plastic bags below 50-gallon capacity and on styrofoam unless they contain an enzyme to facilitate biodegradability. Now, Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, Susan Stanley, says she is in support of the ban.
We're very excited to hear that we are anticipating an announcement any day now as it relates to single-use plastic. So there should be an announcement soon. We've been told about plastic bottles, plastic bags, and styrofoam. So we're looking forward to those strategies being implemented by the government of Jamaica, which can, on the legislation side, on the the demand side, on the supply side, can address some of the problems. But we also have a personal responsibility as all Jamaicans to dispose of our garbage properly.
Meanwhile, environmental groups are again calling for better garbage collection and disposal. This follows a recent beach cleanup project which cost millions of dollars. We have more in this report.
We are the Tourism Action Club from the Convent of Mercy Academy Alpha, and we're here to tell you, no dirty up Jamaica.
A plea we've heard repeatedly to keep the country clean. Each year, millions of waste ends up in the ocean, a great danger to wildlife. Plastic makes up a large portion of the waste, and it's proven to be one of the biggest danger to wildlife. Which is why the initiative by some groups, including the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, carried out a massive cleanup on beaches across the island.
We find car parts, tires, fridges, all manner of strange things. Oh, there's someone with a fridge right now. The back of a chair, you name it, it's washing down our gullies, down our rivers.
A call is also being made for Jamaicans to make an effort in keeping beaches clean.
It's really sad to know that when we do all of this and we volunteer our time and effort, it's going to just go back to square one.
Guys, whenever you throw that plastic bag, think of how many animals you could be affecting. At the end of the day, somebody has to pick it up. So I would definitely inform you guys, put it in a bin so that it goes to the right place and not to end up in our ocean.
But Chairman of the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF, Godfrey Dyer, says the lack of available space for the storage of garbage plays a major role in beach pollution.
It's good to ask them to collect their garbage, but we need to provide somewhere where they can put them. We just bought 1,000 bins that we distribute across the island, including Montego Bay. And we have to be buying another 1,000 now because of the demand. I'm just looking at the beach here where we'll have to place a few of the ones that are coming in now.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of TEF, Dr. Kerry Wallace, says the beach cleanup is a costly exercise. An estimated $8 million was allocated towards this year's project.
We're quite pleased. I think it's good value for money. Tourism relies on our coast being clean and beautiful. It relies on our people demonstrating to the world that we are a nation of of great people. We care about each other and we care about our environment and for future generations as well. So I think overall it's money well spent, tourism dollars working for you.
A record number of over 160 sites were registered in the international coastal cleanup exercise that took place on Saturday.
The Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, has renewed its call for the government to move the Riverton City dump. The appeal is based on an air quality report released by the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, last Tuesday. More in this report.
The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, conducted an air quality study during and after last month's fire at the Riverton Dump. The study confirmed that persons located close to the dump were exposed to a high level of pollutants due to a fire which raided sections of the facility. It was also confirmed that 46 pollutants were detected in the air that could make persons sick.
As it related to the benzene, it was 40 times. The levels were detected at 40 times what the annual levels have been set at. And this is really concerning because prolonged exposure to these kinds of substances can cause cancer. They are carcinogens, so they have a carcinogenic effect. The particulate matter, especially when they're talking about the 2.5, so those are the really, really small particles that can get into your lungs. It can really cause very terrible respiratory impact.
Chief Executive Officer at the Jamaica Environment Trust, Susan Stanley, says she's not surprised with some of the findings in the report. However, she has expressed some concerns.
What was concerning was that in the report, we saw where there's already air quality issues in the area. It's an area that is already suffering from poor air quality. So an incident like this is actually making what is a bad situation much worse.
Ms. Stanley says the delay to move the dump is linked to some of the country's waste management challenges, adding that waste management has never been the country's priority.
Things like, how we manage our garbage, it all ties into where we send our garbage,
Right.
And in 60% of the cases, that is the Riverton Dump. And so we're very concerned that there has been this kind of inertia, this lack of action as it relates to doing something about Riverton, which has been a problem for years, even decades, some would say, and the way that we're managing our garbage in Jamaica.
Ms. Stanley was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica program on Monday. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Jamaica should plan ahead for disaster mitigation. That directive from head of the earthquake unit at the University of the West Indies, Professor Simon Mitchell. Professor Mitchell made the suggestion following Sunday's 4.6 magnitude earthquake which shook sections of the island. The epicenter was located 4 kilometers east of Angels in St. Catherine. Professor Mitchell added that based on the intensity of Sunday's earthquake, it was small.
We always expect a small number of earthquakes that we'll feel during each year. Typically, we have up to maybe 10 earthquakes that we actually feel each year. And so in that sense, the earthquake wasn't that strange. A 4.6 is not a very large earthquake. It was relatively deep, but it was widely felt, and obviously people feel that and they feel uneasy. We would hope there won't be any aftershocks, and if there are aftershocks, they probably would be small. But again, we can't confirm that one way or the other because until things happen, we can't actually say that.
Meanwhile, Professor Mitchell had this word of advice as the earthquake occurred while the country was experiencing inclement weather.
We're at the moment in a situation where we're getting a lot of rain. If we get small earthquakes, that could cause some landslides. So that's something to be wary of. And people should really just plan ahead of what they do if we do get anything.
In the meantime, checks by the Office of the Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, revealed that the earthquake did not cause any major damage.
The National Emergency Operations Center, there's a team working there at this point in time, and they would have felt it. We then made contact with a number of our stakeholders, parish coordinators, and so on. And also, we received a number of calls. There were about 7 parishes that reported that having felt the quake, but so far we have not received any reports of any damage or any injury or any adverse impact.
The Supreme Court on King Street in downtown Kingston has been evacuated following yet another bomb threat this morning. The police are searching the building. King Street and Tower Street has been blocked off. The bomb scare has disrupted what should have been the start of the Home Circuit Court. Acting Director of Communication at Court Management Services, Khadij Fletcher, says the agency was asked to evacuate building shortly after the opening ceremony ended. Before 10 o'clock, the agency was informed by the police to evacuate the building. This is the third such scare in recent weeks. That has been made about the Trelawney Parish Court and Criminal Division of the Corporate Area Parish Court. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is calling on Justices of the Peace, JPs, to collaborate with law enforcement across the island to help reduce crime. He reasons that the JPs have a duty to help monitor happenings in communities. Mr. Chuck was speaking at the installation ceremony for 22 JPs for the parish of Trelawney recently. He is urging the new JPs to use the new knowledge they have gained.
Service are discharging their duties as would be expected from the Justices of the Peace. So you, the newly commissioned 22 Justices of the Peace, you will have to demonstrate to those older JPs, those dormant JPs, those relaxing JPs, what the work should entail. And I know that you have been trained well.
The minister also implored the new recruits to avoid corruption so that residents can follow their example.
Far too many communities, far too many families know of the criminals, know of the corruption, but they are not willing to inform, either out of fear or because they feel sometimes they benefit from the criminal activity, and that is wrong. So Justice of the Peace is a challenging task ahead of us to make Jamaica the place that we want it to be. But we have to start now.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has defended his administration following criticism from the opposition. Leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, labeled the government's performance as madness while speaking at the People's National Party, PNP's annual general conference yesterday. We have more in this report.
What madness is this going on in our country, Master God?
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips criticizing the government's performance, particularly the handling of the traffic congestion in the corporate area. But Prime Minister Andrew Holness has hit back, saying the opposition is being hypocritical. The Prime Minister was speaking at a Jamaica Labour Party JLP Area Council meeting Sunday night in Hull Harbour, St. Catherine.
You can't cuss me when you corrupt. That is called hypocrisy. So we already know that this man is a liar not to be trusted. We already know that in bad mind, him not likes the people prosper. And now we know that him is nothing but a hypocrite.
Mr. Holness then addressed the issue of traffic congestion in the corporate area. He says the government will make some changes that should ease the congestion, which results from the 3 major roadwork projects now underway. Mr. Holness described as small-minded assertions that the 3 projects should not have been carried out at the same time. In the meantime, Mr. Holness accused the previous PNP administration of tardiness in executing the current road projects.
They negotiated a loan from China sometime around 2013. And they never do nothing with the loan. Sit down on the loan. The loan almost now expire. We come and we say we're not going to allow that to happen. We are going to find what they call the fiscal space to be able to spend the money so that you, the people, can benefit from it.
Last week, Minister without portfolio in the Job Creation and Economic Growth Ministry, Dal Vaz, said the government was in danger of losing the funds for the projects if they were not executed within a certain timeline. But opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips argued that the loan terms can always be renegotiated. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And we go on to sports. Tivoli Gardens made their travel worthwhile, dismissing Montego Bay United 2-0 at the Montego Sports Complex at Catherine Hall in the start of the 2018-2019 Red Stripe Premier League season on Sunday. Tivoli's goal came through Howard Morris in the 23rd minute and a Barrington Price penalty in minute 86.
A positive start for us. We have leave all the way from Kingston and to come and play against a good Mobile team and to score 2 goals, and defend it stoutly. That is a plus for the entire team. I must say our midfield defended stoutly. It is the start of the season and everybody wants to start on a positive note. And thank God that Tivoli start on that note. This is work in progress. It's a very early season. We just have to continue to keep the work and keep on improving the players going forward.
I thought we were a little bit timid first 30 minutes. Maybe first game jitters. 4 or 5 players would have made their debut today. So I thought they started out with some tentativeness. But I thought second half we pick it up and had we had some better luck, we would have come out with a more positive result.
Elsewhere on the day, UAFC versus Harbourview's match was called off due to a waterlogged field. And newcomers Mount Pleasant got off to a winning start after stunning defending champions Portmore United 2-1 at the Prison Oval. The Donovan Duki coach team took the lead after Devon Hodges netted in the 6th minute, but Portmore United Rosario Harriot restored parity 5 minutes later. However, coming out of the break, Suela Makala, formerly of Portmore United, scored in added time to secure maximum points for Mount Pleasant. In the other game at Frome, Cavalier registered a 2-0 win over Reno thanks to goals from reggae boy Alex Marshall and Claudius Blackburn. And 5-time champions Arnett Gardens defeated Humble Lions 2-1. Last season's beaten finalist Waterhouse will host newcomers Dunbeholden in Monday's game at the Jerusalem Stadium this evening. And of course, TVJ will have coverage starting at 8:35 p.m. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.